Hi everyone. I just started playing Lego City Undercover on the Wii U, and I thought I'd share my first impressions, so let's check it out. Yeah, so first of all, this game has some pretty substantial load times. This first one, I was kind of expecting, it's about 30 seconds or so, and I expect that in most games, so not a big deal, but I figured I'd put the time code on here just so you can see how long it takes. And the problem, I think, is that after this initial load, you see this screen a lot. And as you'll see coming up here once I get to the title screen, is after you select your first couple options like your save slot and begin the game, you will be greeted with yet another loading screen that lasts pretty much twice as long as that one. So before you even get into the actual game, you're spending close to 2 minutes just on loading screens alone, which, if you've been playing games for a long time and you've been through the PlayStation 1 era, or you're used to installing games on PC or PS3, you know that it can take a long time before you get into a game. But, once you started a game, I think, load time should be minimized. And I know this is an open world game, and there's a lot of data that it needs to load in, but I think that it could have been streamlined a little more to be more in line with something maybe like Grand Theft Auto 5, which it does have a very long loading screen at the beginning, as well as games like the Uncharted titles. But once you're through that, you don't really experience any more significant loading times throughout the rest of the game until you turn the system off. And that's something I wish this game had done. I know that this was a launch title for the Wii U, so they were probably under a time constraint, and optimization probably didn't happen as much as Traveler's Tales would have wanted. But it is what it is, and I was hoping that by the time I played this today that there would have been a patch or something to help optimize that, but unfortunately there isn't. So now that we're through the loading screen stuff, I'll try not to talk about that too much in future videos. But and here's another small pet peeve of mine. I don't want this to be all negative, but these pre-rendered, pre-recorded cinema sequences, I'm not a big fan of them, only because you can see the video compression, and the quality of the video isn't any better than what you would get just playing the game. And that's something that I didn't like in games like Super Mario Sunshine, where the video quality was way worse. But I would hope that games, if they're going to do pre-rendered videos, that they boost the image quality before they record. So just a small pet peeve. So here we go in the game, and already you can see tons of little collectibles, cars moving in the background, lots of life in this game, and so that's something that I really appreciated right off the bat. The color palette does kind of have a Grand Theft Auto vibe, and I'm sure that they're kind of using games like that as the template. Now, I'm not that familiar with the Lego series. I love Legos, and I played them a ton as a kid, but for some reason the games, I played the Star Wars ones, 10, 11, 12, however many years ago, when the first ones came out. I played those a bit, but it didn't really, keep my interest, and I haven't touched too many of the others over the years. But now that I've played this one just for like an hour, I'm now kind of intrigued about the earlier games in the Lego series, so I think that's cool. The thing I like about this game so far is it does have a pretty cool sense of humor. I think it appeals to people of all ages, and the game is very non-violent. It's very little violence, which is to be expected out of Lego and something on a Nintendo console. And that's totally fine. Grand Theft Auto is known for its violence and language, and especially Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, pushed things, some may argue, too far. But I love that game, so I was really looking forward to playing this one to see what Traveler's Tales Fusion, which is a subsidiary of Traveler's Tales, did with this game. And I'd read here and there that this was some people's favorite in the series, and so I was really anxious to check it out. And with it being a Wii U exclusive, that kind of makes it a little more special, since the software library on the Wii U is or does tend to get criticized for its lack of variety and lack of non-Nintendo franchises. And so I've talked through some of this stuff, but as you saw a little earlier, you can do these builds and break things apart and build them into new things to help solve puzzles. And this is where you get your communicator, which is basically the gamepad. I kind of wish it knew if your communicator in real life was white or black, but it doesn't. And so this is actually really neat. You can set waypoints, view quests, communicate with other characters without having to pause the game, which I always appreciate. It's something that I really liked in Wind Waker HD, which is something or another game that I highly recommend for the Wii U, even if you're very familiar with the GameCube original. The changes they made to that game were really good and made the game flow better and just play better without having to constantly open and close menus to look at your map. And the same can be said about this. You don't always have to push the pause or start button to look at a map and look at your quests. You can just kind of look down at the gamepad and click on things and see what needs to be done. And they do some really cool things with scanning the environment and kind of incorporating it to make it feel more cohesive in the world of Lego City Undercover. And so I like this. This part of town is very much inspired by San Francisco, and I think the environments they look great. When you look at it, not everything is made out of Lego, which I guess is kind of disappointing that there are kind of real structures mixed in with the Lego pieces. It would have been really neat if they had done everything in Lego, and perhaps you could argue that everything is Lego. Maybe they're decals or whatnot, but it's more than made up for with things like this, where you construct these tools to help you get to new areas and solve puzzles by, as I mentioned, breaking things apart and putting them back together. Whereas this clown's about to do, he breaks that flower apart, and then you use a piece to solve a puzzle and collect items. And the other thing is carjacking is not something you do. It's always police business. So you kind of ask people nicely to get out of their cars so you can quote unquote borrow them. And the driving controls in this game I haven't quite gotten used to. I guess they're responsive, but maybe a little too responsive. It really does feel like you're driving a little Lego car. It's highly responsive, but doesn't feel like a car when you're driving it. So anyway, I think this game is pretty cool so far. It has a world that feels alive, good sense of humor, good quests, and lots of collectibles. As you're driving around, you find tons of things you can do or get sidetracked with. So I'm pretty happy with it so far, and I'm looking forward to really diving in and seeing what it has to offer. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll see you next time.